Yeah, Sam Cummings was Islamophobic. He was preaching at a Sunday school class about the evils of the Muslim faith and about the dangers of the Muslim community. So we were able to get him recused over his objection.
Okay. We saw in all over the media the chief, we're talking about the chief of the court, told the press he took the case to different city, or he transferred the case to different city, a new judge, in the public interest.
That's a lie. He transferred the case because the original judge was a racist.
So he couldn't tell the public, the truth.
Well, he could have, but he didn't. It was a completely unjust situation.
Okay, Mr. Do you think Khalid received a fair trial in the U.S.?
I do not. In fact, I know he didn't receive a fair trial. Not only was the original judge biased towards him, the judge that tried the case was biased towards him, gave him an extremely inappropriate sentence, and the government failed to produce information that they were required to produce. And I think we'll be able to either get him a new trial or get his sentence substantially reduced.
What's the secrets behind this, accusation? What's
the secret?
Yes. The charges is heavy charges, is a big charges. They charge once before, Iraq with these charges. Now they charge Khalid with the same charges. What's the secrets behind that?
Well, I don't know what the motivation is from the governmental perspective. I know that these prosecutors use this case as a vehicle for self-gratification and for self-promotion and advancement. I can't tell you what our government's motivation, the United States motivation was, but I do know that these prosecutors, they lied, they cheated, and they stole, and they used this case to advantage themselves.
Okay, do you think, Khalid, after you saw the government evidence, do you think he's a criminal or you think he's a victim of this situation?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think Khalid never had the intention to actually harm anyone. But as I mentioned to you before, Omar, when he was assimilated to Vanderbilt in Tennessee, he was doing well. He was liked in the community. He was doing well in school. But once they transferred him to Lubbock, which is, a notoriously Islamophobic area, when he hit Texas Tech and he began being called a terrorist and a radical, I think he engaged in some self-radicalism ideas, but mainly as a way to bolster his self-worth, not as an effort to actually harm anyone. So, look, they could have stopped him long before they did. They had these search warrants going on him the entire time. They could have stopped him long before they did. And I don't think he ever intended to harm anyone. I think he was trying to prove to himself that he was worth something and that he was a good guy and these people were bad guys. So it's a confusing situation, but at no time do I think he ever really intended to harm anyone.
Do you think because he had a split personality or he's mentally ill, he trying, write? As I've been told, and we saw this is through the media, Khalid was, sending messages to himself.
No, I think he lost his way psychologically or mentally. I don't think he had the mental capability to carry out anything. And he was, like I say, I think this was a really poor attempt, Omar, at him trying to prove to himself that he was worth something and he was a human being. It was misdirected, but I don't think it was a crime.
Okay, Mr. What's your message to Khalid's family? And
my message to Khalid's family is he didn't get a fair trial. The judges were against him. The jury was against him. That said, I think we can now prove that the government engaged in misconduct. And once we have that proof and we can show it to the courts, we should either be able to, A, get his sentence reduced, or B, get him a new trial.
So do you think because he's a Muslim, he had, unfair trial?
100%. 100%.